Hello, hello, and welcome to AFC East Summit. It's great to have you guys here for another week, and I appreciate everyone who's tuning in. I am your host tonight. I'm Chris of Pats Nation. Joined with me, we have, of course, the panel that you've come to know and love. We have Brett from the Goes Bills podcast. We have Anthony of the Jets fan base, Jets Nation, or whatever you want to call them, and we have Dolph and Keith. Guys, how are we all feeling tonight? I'm glad to be side by side with you guys again. How are we all feeling?
I'm feeling
Feeling
pretty good
good.
so far. Happy, thrilled.
Feeling good, guys. I can't wait to be back with everybody. I'm excited, and it's always a great day to be with you. And, Keith is always around, so it's always good to see Keith as well.
Thank you. Good to be here. Always great to be here with you guys. It's always a fun time.
I got to congratulate three of the panelists for getting a win. Obviously, we have one panelist who doesn't have a win, so I got to include Chris in that. I'm really sorry for the loss, man. And, it's going to be normal as the season goes on. You'll get used to it. But listen, sooner or later, you're going to have a paper bag over your head and everything and just do the show like that. But it is the spooky season, so you'll have to figure it out. Maybe after Halloween, everything will start to get better for you guys.
Eventually, I'd like to realistically think that we will turn around at some point this season. But if not, you might see me in some Patriots colored face paint, like a clown mask on. So I don't know. But right now, I'm just glad that it wasn't another 30-point blowout. So I can say there's some improvements to be had there. So, but yeah, so what can you do? All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. And let's go ahead and talk about our previous game review and some of what we saw. I'm going to go ahead and start out with you, Keith, since the Dolphins had the biggest victory margin this week. How do you feel about that game? What did you see?
Well, the Dolphins went down 14-0 to the winless Carolina Panthers, and then they woke up and started to play football. They were always a better team than the Panthers, and they just sleepwalked to the first quarter of that game, and there's really no excuse for that, but I am happy, encouraged, what have you, at the fact that the Dolphins were able to come back, win that game comfortably enough to be able to, rest their starters for most of the fourth quarter there. They're still not a very disciplined team. And that's something that's going to come back to bite them against the better teams in the NFL, like the Philadelphia Eagles next week. So, it was a good win. It was an expected win. If the Dolphins hadn't won that game, you would be seeing a very, very different Dolphin Keith tonight. Very angry Dolphin Keith. But but they won. And, just keep things in perspective. They won, and I'm going to ignore the 14-0 deficit that they got themselves into.
Okay. And yeah, I think that might play, I think a little bit of that probably played into the part of just the fact that since you were playing the winless Carolina Panthers, you think the Dolphins kind of came there with a little bit of, we got this in the bag, and just kind of nonchalantly walked on the field thinking that they wouldn't really put up a fight?
Absolutely, Chris. And, that kind of bravado, that kind of arrogance shouldn't be a thing for a Dolphins team who got blown out by the Bills 3 weeks ago. That should have humbled them to the point where they should play everybody as tough as they can. And that's why they go down 14-0. That's why I was upset by it, because you can go down 14-0 to any NFL team. You can lose to any NFL team. But the fact that they thought they were so much better than they were prior to that Bills game, and the Bills came in and they came to Buffalo, and Buffalo handed them their heads.
Mm-hmm.
That should have humbled them a little bit more. And that's concerning to me.
I understand. Well, one thing's for sure, the Dolphins right now are off to a historic start. I think they said that they have Tyreek Hill has the most yards for wide receiver out of the first six games in NFL history.
I think it's second. I think he's second behind.
Second most?
Yeah.
Is it behind Megatron?
No, it's not behind Megatron. It's an old time wide receiver actually. It might be like Don Maynard or something. I forget who it was, but
Okay.
he's second. And he's on pace to go well over 2,000 yards this season, and it's we'll see how that goes. I'm not as concerned about 2,000 yards as I am about the Dolphins getting themselves right and getting themselves in playoff form coming, as the season progresses here.
Yeah, it looks like they're stacking up assets right now too, because we did see the acquisition of Chase Claypool from the Bears come to the Dolphins, and we haven't seen him take the field yet. But how do you think he's going to mesh into the offense?
Well, we'll see. He's been a problem child, throughout his throughout his stint in Pittsburgh and then in Chicago. He's been a problem child. The talent's there. He's big. He's fast. He's strong. He has the Notre Dame pedigree to go along with him. He has all the talent in the world to be a top wide receiver in the league, but for whatever reason, he hasn't put it together. He's never played with an offense like the Dolphins. He's never played with a quarterback like Tua before, so I will throw that in there. But he in Chicago, he complained about not getting the ball enough. In Pittsburgh, he complained about not getting the ball enough. And in this Dolphins offense, he's third at best in the pecking order, at best, behind Waddle and Hill, obviously. But there's other mouths to feed in that offense too, and he's not going to be priority number one. He's not going to be Tua's first look on any given play, and he needs to kind of make his peace with that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But one thing about it is the Dolphins do not have a shortage of weapons, and the way they've been playing Tyreek Hill lately, it looks like he might get some opportunities if he does kind of climb up that depth chart. Looking at the stats of that game, we do see Tua threw 21 out of 31 completion, 21 passes out of 31 attempts, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interception. It was a really clean game for him. Mostert leading the ground game with Devon Achane out, and so we have 17 carries for 115 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, another historic, monstrous game, 163 yards and 1 touchdown. So we do see the Dolphins are firing on all cylinders right now. They're looking good. They're looking like a tough team to beat. But
they're firing on all cylinders. It's easy to fire on all cylinders when you're playing the Panthers, who are a bottom 5 team. This Eagles game is going to be a test. It's going to be their second true test of the season, and they failed their first one. So we'll see how they react to this.
All right. We got some chats in there. Thank you, Brad. About to pull it up. So we see Bryce tell the Dolphins guys should be ashamed of themselves for what they did to poor Bryce.
No, the Panthers should be ashamed of themselves for what they did to poor Bryce.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
That's
not the Dolphins' fault.
And then we got Jim Page. Jim, thank you for tuning in. He says the Jets will put a stop to the Dolphins' offense. I mean, Jim, the Jets got some tough defense. They definitely shut down Philly this week, which was a big surprise, but kind of, not really. We knew the defense was tough. They definitely proved it. And we've seen how the Dolphins had fared against some of the better defenses in the league with the Bills. So it's going to be an interesting showdown to see how they fare against the offense, the defense like the Jets.
Jim, I'll say this. The Jets are looking more and more dangerous with each passing week. So when the Dolphins finally do play them, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a battle. Not looking forward to that game because that Jets defense is legit.
For sure. Let's get into a little bit more of these chats real quick. So we got the Mad Chatter in there. Always appreciate the love. Always giving a lot of shout outs in there. We see you in those comments, Mad Chatter, so we appreciate it. He said, Jets guy, warn my Eagle fan friends that the Jets may be garbage, but they are better than the NFC teams. Okay, we got a couple. We have Noah with some fantasy football advice. Would you trade away Kelsey for Pacheco and Laporta? Absolutely. I mean, Kelsey's good, but Pacheco's right there, right behind him in fantasy-wise. And Pacheco is getting better as the season progresses. That's just my advice, though. So I don't know how you just put a spin on that.
To me, it would depend on your roster construction, how big your league is. Because, generally, I don't like trading, the stud for the 2 guys.
Yeah.
Usually, unless my team is bad, I've been hit with some really terrible injuries. I prefer having the 1 stud over the 2 guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that I would do that either. But again, I'd have to look at my roster, and the rest of the league, like Anthony said.
Okay. And what about you, Brett?
Brett, you're on mute, man. Brett, you're muted.
Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate that. So,
I thought you were chewing gum.
oh, no. I just talk with my mouth full. That's how it goes when I'm eating. No, but if this was me and this were like a dynasty league, it's plain and simple. You take Pacheco and Laporta over Travis Kelce. But I mean, this is a situation where you have an up and coming running back and you have a tight end that's established right now in Sam Laporta, who's only going to get better as the season goes on. And if you're looking for a move because you're in a situation where you're 3-2 or even 3-3, I'm sorry, because now we're in week 7, I'm sorry, 3-3 or you're 2-4, some type of situation like that. This is a move that can reconstruct your roster. So I would make the move if you're in a situation where you're below 500. If you're above 500, definitely stay put. That's where I would stand on this. But if you're below 500, I would make the move right now.
All right, Noah. So we hope that helps you with that decision. So good luck to you in your fantasy league. And Anthony, are you in our league this year? You're in the league, right?
I am. Yeah.
I think
I just got back to 3-3, but I'm the second highest scoring team in the league. I've just had I'll score 150. The guy next to me, like you did the week 1, score 155. Congratulations. You get the dub.
All right, Brett and Keith, what are you guys' records looking like right now?
So I'm bad. I'm real bad, and I should feel bad, Chris. I'm down at 1-5.
You're playing me this week, I think. No, you just played me last week.
Yep, and you beat me. You beat me pretty good.
And Brett, how about yourself? What you looking like over there?
So I'm in 7th place out of 10. I am 3-3 right now, trying to get back to a winning record. But right now, everybody would be proud to say it. Nickel City Mafia is in 1st place right now. Mike from Nickel City Mafia. Barely in 1st place. It is a tie overall in record, but points for Mike has you beat by about 25.
20, yeah.
So last place right now is Logan. I'm not sure who that is. If anybody knows who that is, I don't. Nope. I think it's one of Jake Podger's friends. I'm almost positive it is. So he's in last place. So that waffle challenge, the 24 hours at Waffle House, is safe right now for everybody. But Logan's trying to make some moves. He's trying to get back in the race and figure it out. But Keith, you are in second to last. So the red siren is going off behind you. You got to remember that. I got to throw in some hockey analogies because we do have the Sabres Edge show that we have going on our channel as well. So we got to throw that in as well. You got the red goalie light going off behind you. You're on thin ice, man. You got to get it straightened out. Figure out your team.
Brett, I like waffles. All right. I just wanted to eat some waffles for you guys.
I don't mind that.
Yep. I'm going to say that I'm in second place. Like Brett mentioned, I'm right behind Nickel City Mafia. He's beating me by about 20 points, but my record's 5-1. So I'm feeling good about my season, looking good. The team's looking great. So I'm feeling dominant right now. But so, like I said, Noah, take your advice from the man. So with that said, we'll move on to the next. Well, Anthony, we'll move on to Jets. So, Anthony, we had a big upset this week with the Jets. How are we feeling about this? What did you see?
I mean, we keep winning like this. We keep grinding out W's. I hate to go to the old football cliche, but it was about our turnovers. We had 4, they had none. We kicked 4 field goals. We got that's how we won the football game. It's just a matter of we just scored a couple more points than they did. We got key turnovers at important times. If you watch that game, and I don't recommend anybody do it, but if you ever go back and watch that game, Jalen Hurts in the first half is a completely different quarterback to Jalen Hurts in the second half. I don't know. It was probably 10 years ago. So I was listening to a podcast with Mays and I forget the other guy, but Robert Mays and the other guy, Bill Barnwell, back when they were on ESPN, and they were talking about how pressures are cumulative. Pressures and quarterback hits are cumulative. Over the course of a game, pressures will drop a quarterback's effectiveness something like 5 or 8% per pressure over the course of the game. quarterback hits do the same thing, and they're more indicative of fourth quarter performance than like sacks, for example. Because you might have 4 quarterback hits, but you might only have 4 quarterback sacks or whatever. You might only have 5 pressures on 4 sacks. Like, weird things happen. But if you go back and you watch Jalen Hurts in the fourth quarter, he is a completely different quarterback than he was in the first quarter. So, like, the amount of pressure that they're able to put on opposing quarterbacks, if they're able to keep a game close, and the only game that really wasn't close at all was that Dallas game. If they're able to keep a game close, they have the possibility of stealing one. I mean, this is true 1990s like style football.
Absolutely,
it really is.
Absolutely
and
agree.
I didn't think it could still work. I really didn't think this style of offense or of like defense centered football had any place in the modern NFL. But we're kind of making it work. And Zach Wilson is doing his best Trent Dilfer. And this team is doing their best, 2001 Bucks.
Yeah, for sure. And looking at the numbers of the game, we can definitely see that, it wasn't too much on the offensive side that you could really look at and say, all right, this is what really won the game for you guys. Because looking at it, Zach Wilson had 19 completions out of 33 attempts for 186 yards, 0 touchdowns. Breece Hall was a little stifled. He had 12 carries for 39 yards and a touchdown. And Garrett Wilson was
and even that Breece line is completely flawed because they let him score on like a 12-yard carry to close out the game. Like he was at 3.3 yards per carry going into that. So where our offense came from was legitimately 4 field goals won us that game, and then Philly decided to let Breece score.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that was the right move for them to do in that circumstance, though.
Was it though? I mean,
it was. The Jets could have run out the clock and kicked the field goal.
They could not have run out the clock. Philly had two timeouts.
Well, they
were inside the 10-yard line. So no matter what, they had to score.
Well, I think and I'm gonna let you go ahead and after this, Keith. I think because remember in the game, Philly lost just by field goals by their kicker. So if it came to them wasting them burning their timeouts and letting the opposite team run the clock out and kicking a field goal versus you putting the ball in your quarterback's hands, giving up a touchdown, putting the ball in your quarterback's hand to let him march down the field, I would take that decision every time. So I kind of agree with you, Keith, that was the right decision to make. What are your thoughts, Keith? Go ahead and share.
Well, I personally thought that the Eagles let Breece Hall score on that play, and
they did.
It was they felt as though it was beneficial to them for Breece Hall to score, and I tend to agree. I don't know that I would have told Breece Hall to go down at the 1, as we've seen players do in the past, but I don't know that I wouldn't have either. I don't have the exact times and timeouts and everything in front of me right now, but I know that the Jets could have run the clock down, made the Eagles run the clock down a little bit at least, and made the Eagles burn their timeouts. I know that they could have done that. So, either way, the Jets played the Eagles tough. The Jets played a really nice game against the Eagles. Yeah. They played their game against the Eagles. The game the Eagles didn't want to play, but they forced the Eagles into playing their game. They're, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, tough defense type of football game. And credit to the Jets for doing so. I wasn't willing to put my money where my mouth was yesterday, but I did put the idea last week of an upset. And the Eagles to me seemed like a team that was waiting for a wake-up call, waiting for a team to come along and give them a wake-up call, and the Jets did just that.
For sure. And you can see you're right.
Just to give the exact times. So the Jets had the ball. It was first and goal at the 8. 1:46 left. The Eagles have 2 timeouts. So if the Jets decide to just run up the middle and don't score 2 times, the best they could have pulled off the clock was 45 seconds. Would have still had a minute left on the clock, and
no timeout.
Now you're only up 1 point.
Yeah.
So they only need one big play from A.J. Brown, and we're missing our 2 top corners.
Yeah.
Versus.
Well, based on that, it's up for debate as to which was more beneficial to the Jets, which was more beneficial to the Eagles. I'm not sure I have the answer to that personally, but I still think if I'm the Eagles, I'm letting Breece Hall score there.
No, I completely understand their position of letting Breece Hall score, but like if you're Breece Hall, you can't go down at the 1.
Fair enough.
You need to take the points if you get them, because the Eagles scored exactly 0 points in the second half. They basically couldn't move the football.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jets defense really stood up and locked them down. So definitely all around the game, regardless of how ugly a victory is a victory. So definitely a great all around game for the Jets. The defense stood up to shut down the reigning NFC champion. So it was good to see. It was good to see for sure. All right. So let's see. Let's go into the Bills. I don't even want to talk about the Patriots game. We're 1-5 right now. So let's go into the Bills.
We got to talk about it, man.
we will. I'll do a quick little overview before we move on. But I'm gonna go ahead and Brett and the Bills. So the Bills beating the Giants 14-9. Brett, what do we see? I know me personally, I expected a much bigger blowout, especially after how they've been whipping teams. So what happened? What happened with the Bills?
I don't even want to say it because I know Anthony's face right now. I can see it on his face. He's trying so hard to hide the grin on his face and everything. But, I mean, this was just a pathetic performance by the Buffalo Bills offense in the first half. It really was awful to see. Josh Allen really turned it around in the second half. But the first half, I mean, just missed opportunities for the Bills all the way around. The fumble by Gabe Davis and then the interception by Josh Allen. A lot of points being taken off of the board. And then on top of that, not only were there turnovers, but also just not being able to move the ball down the field. It really came down to the Bills trying to put a lot of the game on Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs when they could have ran the ball quite a bit in this game. And if you look back at the film, you're going to see opportunities where James Cook and Latavius Murray, and when he was healthy, Damian Harris would have been able to get big gains. This Giants defense gives up the most missed tackles in the NFL. So that's one area that Keith, before last show, he was saying just show up and you can beat the Giants. That was not true this week. I think the Giants and the team rallied around Brian Daboll. They did a phenomenal job of fighting for their head coach and giving everything that they have out there. And they not only fought for Brian Daboll, but they fought for Wink Martindale as well. And this was a tough defense that the Bills played. I think everybody on the Giants stepped up. Bobby Okereke played.
Okereke.
I always say it wrong. So Okereke. I appreciate you correcting me, though. I do. I knew I was going to say it wrong as soon as I said it, but I went to public school. I have a public school education. I cannot pronounce anything in English or any other language that you can possibly imagine. So I didn't go to school for, English speaking whatsoever or journalism or anything like that. So I don't have my degree in that, but I went to school for marketing. That's what I went to school for. And that's easy side of it. It's behind the scenes stuff that you see, but he played a phenomenal game though. And it was incredible to watch the Giants really fight throughout the whole entire game. Cause I thought it was going to be one-sided. I thought, why the hell is this game on Sunday Night Football? But it came down to last seconds of the game, and that's always how a Sunday Night Football game or a Monday Night Football game should come down to. But I'm disappointed in how the Bills played in the first half. I think that there's a lot of growing that the Bills can do, but their defense fought hard. Not only Terrell Bernard, but Dorian Williams played hard. The defensive line played pretty good. Corners played decent, except for I felt like Kyer Elam could have stepped up a little bit more. Still need to figure out what's going on with him, but I love the way that the defense fought all the way until the end, and they can make some adjustments later in the year. And I think they're only going to get better as the year goes on. So I'm happy with what the Bills did out there, except for the offense, and always room to grow. And we'll see what happens when we get into our grades for our teams.
I want to give a shout out to AJ Epinesa. I've been watching the last few weeks. He's really looking like he's turning into something.
Yeah, I completely agree. And even him and Leonard Floyd, I don't know if it's the leadership of Leonard Floyd, but I mean, man, he's stepping up quite a bit. And once we get Vaughn back healthy, with the knee injury, it's probably going to take a little bit of time, and we got to take it in baby steps. We can't just rush everybody back, especially after a significant knee injury that Von Miller had. But we should definitely look at Von Miller and say, listen, this defense is going to get really good when the playoffs come around.
Okay. I love to hear it. And we're getting close to that half. We're slowly approaching that halfway point of the season where you can really see the team start turning around. Certain teams will start catching fire and take that all the way into the playoffs. Like I said, football, one of my favorite things to see is a team that starts off hot may not be the team that necessarily ends hot. You see a lot of teams catch fire toward the end of the season. They played a fair game, and then all of a sudden they just kind of start clicking and and that momentum keeps building. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that progresses going forward. Looking at the Bills stat line, Josh Allen had 19 completions out of 30 attempts, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. James Cook did extremely well, ran the ball 14 times for 71 yards, so no touchdowns, but a good stat line. And Stephon Diggs, 10 receptions for 100 yards even. So overall, it was a pretty good game on their side. It looked good, and they got the victory. That's what matters the most. So
the thing that I would like to point out is something I brought up before. Not to stay on the Bills game for too long, but like you look at it, Josh Allen had 169 passing yards, 100 of them went to Stephon Diggs.
Yeah,
I was talking about it like last week. You guys really need to develop secondary weapons.
Yep.
This is going to be the thing going forward. Like you're going to have to find a second weapon.
Yeah.
It's not Gabe Davis. Dawson Knox is just a guy.
Dalton Kincaid didn't play in that game, but I think they drafted Dalton Kincaid to be a secondary option.
Right.
But like you're looking at what he's doing, and it's 27 yards a game.
Yeah.
Like it's not. You compare that to where Jordan Addison, I think, was 1 or 2 picks before him, or the other one that Zay Flowers went 1 or 2 picks. Also, they all went almost consecutively. If they'd have traded up just a couple of picks to get one of those receivers, like where's this offense right now?
And look at Sam Laporta as well. He's having a good year as well with the Lions, and he looks like a true tight end in this league. And it's disappointing to see what the Bills are doing with their offense as far as trying to get the ball to different playmakers. But one thing that we did on the Overreaction Monday show on my channel is we talked about whether this is Ken Dorsey's fault or Josh Allen's fault. And I put a lot of the blame on Josh Allen for not going through his progressions, quite honestly. And I think that the play calling is there. I think that the execution is piss poor when it comes down to it, especially in the first half of games. And then all of a sudden they make the adjustments in the second half, and that's where the team starts playing better. But I don't want to get too far into being negative on the Buffalo Bills because, there's a lot of room to grow as a team. And you're right, Anthony, and you need to have another weapon step up, whether that's going to be Gabe Davis, if it does happen, who's in a contract year, who really needs to step up and show that he can be a number one wide receiver in this league if he wants to get paid like a number one wide receiver. Or it's going to have to be Dawson Knox, who's getting paid like a top 10 tight end in this league, or Dalton Kincaid, who was picked to be a first-round pick. Somebody needs to step up and take command of their job and say, hey, listen, we need to carry the offense. And I think that comes down to Josh Allen rallying the troops and getting the troops going, because it just seems like he has his head down in the playbook and he's looking at the playbook all the time, but he needs to be that leader that just says, you know what, F this, we're going to go out there and we're going to throw the ball and we're going to get a touchdown on every single drive. Don't worry about it. Let's just go. We'll do it on 3. Let's go. And boom, let's just lead the troops and get it going.
True, Brad. And just to be playing devil's advocate here, how much of this, when you get a receiver like Diggs, right? I always think about a receiver like Diggs, like Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen, right? Keenan Allen is a wide receiver who runs quarterback-friendly routes, as they describe it. He makes it easy for the quarterback to get him the ball. It all comes down to, when you think about the Patriots wide receiver, are these guys getting separation, right? Gabe Davis has a lot of potential because he's getting separation from his wide receivers, and even the intangible things that we see from Dalton Kincaid. Maybe he's getting so many 20, 30 yards a game, but is he distracting? Is he taking receivers, pulling coverage down, opening routes up for these guys. You know, there are a lot of intangibles that guys do, you know, blocking, different things like that. So we'll see how much of an impact he has when he comes back, if Gabe Davis can kind of get back in form, because he hasn't been having a bad season so far. You know, he's been doing pretty well.
No,
he scored,
I agree.
Scored in, I think, each contest. So,
and Red, White, and Bill said it best. I mean, he has 4 touchdowns on the year. I'm not saying that, you know, that he's having a bad year whatsoever. I just think he needs to step up and really become that next man up. And when you have double coverage or triple coverage on Stephon Diggs and they're pulling their weight over towards Diggs' side, you need to step up on your side and make them fear you too. And even Dawson Knox, who Mad Chatter put out a great comment here in saying, please show respect, panel, and call him Dawson Drops. I completely agree with that. He's dropping the ball quite a bit, and we need to have the next guy step up, and it's plain and simple, you know.
And that's the thing. Like Red, White, and Bills was making the point here that you look to your number 1 wide receiver first.
Yeah,
that's not anything new. The Dolphins looked at Tyreek Hill first. He used Burrow looking for Jamar Chase first, but the Dolphins also have Jalen Waddle as an option, as a number 2 option. The Dolphins also have, you know, other weapons that they can throw to, other Robins to Tyreek Hill's Batman.
Yeah.
Who is the Robin in the Bills offense?
Yeah.
You know, in the Bengals, Burrow looks at Jamar Chase first, but he also looks to, he's got
Higgins and Boyd.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd. You know, who is the Robin in the Bills offense? Who's going to step up and be that Robin? That's that number 2 wide receiver. Gabe Davis has 4 TDs. Wonderful. I don't think he stepped up to be that guy yet. I just don't. I don't see it. And that's not on Josh Allen, in my opinion. That's, you know, I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the tape, see who was open when he was throwing it to Diggs, stuff like that. But I don't see that as being on Josh Allen. I see that as being on the secondary options on the Bills.
Yeah,
whoever it is. If we're talking about Dawson Drops, if we're talking about Gabe Davis, if we're talking about you know, their slot guy, I forget what his name is. They got him from the Saints. Hardy, Deontay Hardy. If we're talking about him, Allen needs another guy to throw to.
Well, listen, all I can say is, and this is I'm gonna use this as a perfect segue. All I can say is, you guys, I'll take Gabe Davis as our number 1 wide receiver anytime. You guys can have Devontae Parker or Juju Smith-Schuster, okay? And on that note, we can go ahead and move in.
Chris, I want to take one last second, okay, before I let you go, okay?
Go ahead.
I'm going to pull a Kanye West on Taylor Swift move, okay, on you guys real quick.
Okay.
I'm going to ask the panel this question real quick, okay? When it comes down to the Bills offense, okay, and you're watching them and you know it's 3rd and 10 or 4th and 10, and you have to rely on one player to bail out the Bills on that drive.
Diggs.
Okay. If you could have anybody on the field, who are you counting on?
Diggs.
It's Diggs. Although it does help that you have Josh Allen who can run for 10.
Yeah. I mean, on the Bills.
Receiver, who are you counting on?
As a wide receiver, I'm looking at Diggs, but I'm also, you know, I think James Cook should get more involved in the passing game. I think that would help out Josh Allen. That would help out Stephon Diggs.
Right.
You know, maybe he can be a secondary option.
So if the game was on the line, you're counting on Diggs 100%, right?
Well, yeah.
Absolutely. No, yeah, so Diggs is the number 1 guy.
So if Buffalo threw the ball to Gabe Davis, what would you say as a percentage that he's coming down with the pass?
Depends on if he's covered.
Yeah.
Because I'm throwing 3 guys at Diggs.
Depends on any number of factors here, Brett. But, like, you know.
I give 50%. You know, that's the odds every time, right? You're either going to catch it or you're going to drop it. Or
he's still a professional wide receiver. It's not that he doesn't belong in the league. It's the fact that, like, he's not stepping up as like a number 2 option, and number 2 options available.
Let me ask you, land your plane. What's your point here?
Mad Chatter said 78.
Because, you know, if you can count on Stephon Diggs, who's a top 10 wide receiver, or not even top 10, top 5 wide receiver in this league, and you're trying to throw the ball to your number 2 receiver, and you can't consistently count on him throughout the games and everything, that tells you so much about the Bills offense and what cornerbacks are seeing out there on the field and what they're really worried about with the Buffalo Bills. You have to factor in Stephon Diggs, and then if you factor in Stephon Diggs, you shut him down, the Bills' offense isn't going anywhere. That's what it comes down to, and that's what it was last year when it was in Cincinnati. When we got to Cincinnati, they shut down Stephon Diggs, and the Bills' offense couldn't move down the field. That next man up has to step up, and that's what it comes down to, and that's what I wanted to get into. And Cincinnati has a lot of receivers that are great. The Dolphins have the same thing. They have 2 great wide receivers. Who's going to be that next man up for the Buffalo Bills? And that's what I want to segue into.
Okay,
Fair enough.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough point. That's fair enough points. But like I said, I'd have Gabe Davis as our number 1 wide receiver any day because our wide receivers are trash. So let's go ahead and get into this Patriots game. I don't want to talk too much about it because we're 1-5 right now. We lost 17-21 to the Jets. I mean, to the Raiders. So I'm pleased that it wasn't another 30-point blowout for sure, but it's just another loss in the book. So very pedestrian showing from Mac Jones. 24 completions out of 33 attempts for 200 yards. He wasn't bad. As far as the AFC East goes, he threw for second most yards, but he had no touchdowns and 1 interception. Ramondre Stevenson also still failing to get the ball going on the ground, but that's due to our horrendous offensive line. So he's been stifled most of the year. So we have 10 carries for 46 yards, 1 touchdown. And our lead receiver is Kendrick Bourne with 10 receptions and 80 yards. So overall, it's a pretty terrible showing. We don't really have a second option. We don't really have a first option to go to. So Kendrick Bourne is probably one of the best wide receivers we have on our team. And it's a shame because we gave away our best one in the offseason for Juju Smith-Schuster, which was Jacoby Myers, who's over there killing it in Las Vegas right now. So round of applause for him. He's doing his thing. We should have kept him, but instead we didn't. So the rest of the team, we got 1 target amongst about 6 receivers. Mike Gesicki led the pack in second place with 3 receptions and 28 yards. So it was overall awful. So if I had to give that game a grade, I'd give it an F. Because we just can't move the ball. Defense is doing their thing, but they can only make up for so much poor offense. So if we had to look at thoughts on trading Judy Gill podcast, I'd love to trade for Judy, but I think Judy may be going to, I don't know, because the Eagles just picked up Julio Jones, so that was another big acquisition. I think Judy would probably end up going to Philadelphia, honestly. I heard that they said that the coach over there wanted to get him in, and the front office wanted to get him in the draft, and I'm high on the draft for it. So I think the Eagles are going to make a big push for him. And then Mad Chatter says, I asked my friend if Thornton was good, and he lashed out at me. I'm not sure why he got so offended about. I think Tyquan Thornton is great. I think he's going to be the guy who ultimately steps up in our offense because I don't see it coming from Devontae Parker or Juju Smith-Schuster. So I have no idea. But if we had to, looking on the week 1 review, and before we move into the week 2 matchups, let's go ahead and say, guys, if you had to give your team a grade, what would it be? I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Anthony.
I'm going to go with B+. This is the happiest I've been with the Jets win all year. Okay. I mean, I would have been happier with the Bills win if I wasn't so depressed. But besides that, I have to say this is the happiest I've been because this is a total team victory. Offense didn't cost us the game. Defense won us the game. Special teams was actually pretty decent. All in all, very pleased with this game. And the best part is, we're going into the bye.
Mm-hmm. And we're back at 500, so a good sign for the Jets. When all hope was lost with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, have you seen him?
That's the thing. Like, this was by far the toughest route for any team in the NFL. I think we're number 1 right now up until this point in strength of schedule. It gets soft now. We had some nice matchups coming up.
I was going to say, have you seen Aaron Rodgers on the sideline without the boot, just throwing the ball?
Dude, they're talking about him coming back this year and serious, week 12 even. And I think that's absolutely crazy. But
his rehab's looking good. I heard he's been rehabbing with J.K. Dobbins at some doctor in California. So
that's not a good thing. J.K. Dobbins is always hurt.
Listen, if J.K. Dobbins is injury prone, but I guess Aaron Rodgers has a new doctor and they're rehabbing, so maybe we'll see J.K. Dobbins back this year.
Then if there's one man who knows how to rehab, it's J.K.
That's true.
Yeah, that is true. So Well, go ahead, Brett. Brett, what would you give the Bills a grade? What grade would you give the Bills this week?
I'm gonna say C+ as my grade.
C+.
Okay, which is right around where I was on the GPA for college, which I got through. Luckily, barely got through, but
still passing.
Still passing. Hey, it is what it is. C's get degrees, as the president of the United States said, which is always good to hear. But I'm gonna give him C+. Offense was very sluggish in the first half, is the right word to say, and they got back into a rhythm in the second half, but. Man, I mean, we just need to put more points up on the board, and we need to figure out how to get in the rhythm as an offensive unit and find a way to put more points on the board. And it's going to come down to this week against the Patriots, and that's going to be the first showing. And then after that, we got to keep it rolling all the way until we get into the playoffs.
Okay. C+ is not bad. I think it's a little critical. The Bills have been definitely putting up points as far as as their games go. I think the last 2 weeks have been a little bit rough for them, but Giants defense stood up. What can you say? But so for C+, fair enough grade. So it's still passing, and yeah. So we'll definitely see how this matchup goes this week. And as for my friend Keith, the Dolphins have a matchup with the Eagles this week. How you think the Eagles? How are we looking this week? How you feeling about? Oh, sorry. How you feel about the grade for the game that just came by, that just passed?
A B. You beat the Panthers. Pat on the back, get back to practice and get some work done. I'm not gonna start pumping my chest over a win over the winless Carolina Panthers. A win's a win, but it's time to move on. It's time to move on to Philadelphia. So they get a B. They fell down 14-0, and then they beat down a hapless team. It's like a mathematician passing a pre-calculus test. It was easy. It was easy to the Dolphins made it look easy. The Panthers made it easy on the Dolphins. So again, you won, great. Move on. Time to put some work in, because this Eagles game is going to be a tough one.
Mm-hmm. And we see the Dolphins got a 42-point showing against the Panthers. But like you said, it was the Panthers, so it was a good game overall. As for my Patriots, I'm gonna give us an F because we're just stinking up right now. We're definitely failing. Just offense is not moving the ball. Mac Jones with another turnover. I think that's 3 games in a row with a turnover, probably more. He just I can't even imagine where his quarterback rating is for this season right now. So, but that's all I really want to talk about it. Besides that, I might start crying if I continue. So moving on, we have our Week 7 matchup. So we have the Bills versus the Patriots, and what I predict will be another loss, or maybe I'll be happy and will be pleasantly surprised with a win. Mad Chatter says Mac Jones would not make the XFL. You know what? He's absolutely right. I'm not sure why some of these quarterbacks even have jobs, but I did see that they did elevate Malik Cunningham to the quarterback 2 position. So I think that right there is enough to give me like a breath of life and have hope for at least the second half of the season. Because if Mac Jones continues on the pace he's at, then I think it's only right to bench him and give the next man up a chance. I mean,
you've been banging that drum for a while, Chris.
Listen, the Mac Jones experiment can't last forever. It's been a couple years. He hasn't done anything.
Do you think you can trade him? Do you think that there's going to be a taker for him?
Yeah, send him to Tennessee. Send him to I mean, you see, even Tennessee, they benched what's it called? They benched Ryan Tannehill, and they got
Tannehill got hurt in that game, Chris. He hurt his ankle.
Well, he should have been benched anyway.
Tennessee's a great opportunity for him. Atlanta is another one. I mean, I keep harping on Desmond Ridder being the worst quarterback in the NFL right now as a starter, but he is.
He looks like
he stepped up a little.
Yeah. He's been showing more life than Mac Jones in the past few games. More life.
Games, yeah.
Look at the weapons he has. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, that offensive line, Jonnu Smith. I mean, they actually have players on that team, and he's still holding them back.
It's on the coaching more than anything.
Yeah, but
what's up?
I think he's the coaching more than anything. But I think for sure Atlanta's front office is doing an excellent job of putting him in a situation where he can grow. If he continues to work at the pace he's going and get more acclimated to the speed of the NFL, I think he'll be great. I think he'll be good because honestly, I'd rather have Atlanta's front office than the New England's front office right now because they got the weapons. They got the weapons. So I wouldn't put him there. I'm not sure where I'd put him. but I definitely wouldn't put him in New England. That's for sure.
Hmm.
So yeah, looking forward to the Patriots and the Bills matchup. I don't predict us coming out of there with a win, but we shall see how that goes. We have the Jets. The Jets are on a bye week this week, so we won't talk about the
Pina
Jets.
colada time for me.
They get to rest, fresh off a win, kind of get their offense together. Maybe help Zach Wilson build some more confidence. We've seen him growing with confidence over the past few weeks, and I think it's only going to get better. It's only up from here because they were, at the bottom of the bottom. So they've seen rock bottom, but they're going up now. So, and as for the Eagles and the Dolphins, so we see now we have the Dolphins, their first showing with a tough team because they've had a pretty fairly easy schedule so far. They got another tough team in Eagles. When they played the Bills kind of shut them down. When they played the Patriots kind of shut them down as well. And they had but they barely won, but they still won. Tyreek Hill, I think he had 60 yards that game. But we see that the Eagles kind of disappear when they have the Dolphins have disappear when they have tough matchups. Keith, how do you predict that game going?
Well, to say the Dolphins disappear when they have tough matchups, they've had one tough matchup this year. So let's not speak in generalities here, Chris.
Patriots were a tough matchup. That's two. I give it two. Defense-wise. Defense, not offense. Defense-wise.
The Dolphins, that game wasn't as close as the score would indicate. But with the Eagles, this is a tough matchup. And this look, the Eagles secondary is hurt. Darius Slay missed last week's game. They lost Devontae Maddox for the season. Reed Blankenship's banged up. This is a very injured Eagles secondary, so the Dolphins should be able to take advantage of that. The Dolphins defense hasn't been good this year. The Eagles offense should be able to take advantage of them. But to Anthony's point, if the Dolphins can put some pressure on Jalen Hurts, hit Jalen Hurts, maybe by the fourth quarter, Jalen Hurts will resort to being a more average version of Jalen Hurts. I'm trying to be optimistic here because I'm actually not all that optimistic about this game. The Jets didn't do the Dolphins many favors when they beat the Eagles last week because now the Eagles are motivated. The Eagles are angry. And if the Eagles had won that game, I'd be much more confident about the Dolphins' chances. But the Eagles lost, and now they are going to be an angry, desperate team. And I'm not feeling great about this game for the Dolphins because, I mean, you said it before, and I said don't speak in generalities, but thus far in McDaniel's coaching tenure and Tua as a quarterback, when the Dolphins play tougher teams, they don't generally come out of that looking too great. So I'm trying to stay optimistic. I'll also be at that game. So I'm trying to remain optimistic here, but I don't know that this is going to go well for the Dolphins. I really hope it does. And there are signs pointing towards, there are indications that it could go well for the Dolphins, like the fact that the Eagles have a very injured secondary and the Dolphins pass the ball better than almost any other team in the league. I think it's going to be a shootout, but I think ultimately I can't trust the Dolphins defense to make enough stops on the Eagles offense to come out on top in this one. So I'm going to say the Eagles win 38-35.
Okay. You know how that saying goes, pray for the best, but plan for the worst, right? So any chance that you think we'll see Chase Claypool touch the field, and how much of an impact do you think he's going to make immediately on his new team in Miami?
I don't know that you're going to see much of an impact from Chase Claypool until after the Dolphins bye. I think, the Mike McDaniels, Kyle Shanahan system is a notoriously hard one for players to master. And Chase Claypool isn't exactly known for being
detail-oriented type.
Yeah, what's that, Anthony?
Detail-oriented.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know that we're going to see much of Chase Claypool until after the Dolphins bye. He might sniff the field a little bit. The Dolphins might try to get, might design a play to get the ball into his hands on a wide receiver screen or something or reverse, a wide receiver end around, something of that nature.
What about a goal line situation for him?
It's been floated that he could play a Debo type role in the Dolphins offense. Like where he winds up in the backfield and I mean, I just personally I don't want to see Chase Claypool right now. I want to see the Dolphins' top 3 receivers. I want to see Hill, Waddle, and Braxton Berrios. Those are the guys. Those are the 3 guys I want to see on the field.
Yeah,
for the Dolphins right now. Mix in some Durham Smythe, who's made some nice plays for the Dolphins this year. I don't want to see Chase Claypool until Chase Claypool is ready to do the right things in the field and not run the wrong routes. And I don't trust him, frankly. The Dolphins didn't give up much for him, so it was a low risk, high reward move for them. But I don't trust him. I trust Will Hill and Waddle and Berrios and Durham Smythe and even Robbie Chosen to be in the right spots for Tua. I don't trust Robbie Chosen to block in the run game because apparently he just doesn't do that. But I trust him to at least run the right route, whereas I don't trust Chase Claypool to do that. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So yeah, and definitely so with that banged up Eagles secondary, and you also are should be getting back Jeff Wilson Jr. this week as well. So it's a compliment right
I'm
there
hoping
to
we get back Connor
definitely.
Williams, Chris. I'm hoping we get back Connor Williams at center. That's going to be the bigger addition. Because he missed the Panthers game. Liam Eichenberg started at center and he did well against the Panthers defensive line, which actually isn't that bad. Derek Brown's a decent player, but we want, Connor Williams is going to be the one that we want to get back because the Eagles have a stable of defensive tackles that are, you have Jalen Carter who missed last week's game. I don't know if he's going to play this week. You have Jordan Davis, you have Fletcher Cox, you have guys like that. Dolphins need Connor Williams in there. They need him badly. I will also say that Lane Johnson's going to miss that game for the Eagles, probably, with an ankle injury. So hopefully Jalen Phillips takes full advantage of that.
Okay. Well, we shall definitely see. Hopefully, you guys do have all the weapons. That way, you can come and play one of the best teams in the NFC at your best as well. So
this is also a Sunday night game. How have McDaniel's teams performed on like big stage type games?
Well, they've won their last 2. But they haven't played well doing it. They haven't looked good doing it. So, I guess I sold the Patriots short earlier when I said that it wasn't as close a game as it wasn't. No, it was a close game. The Patriots played the Dolphins tough. That was a Sunday night football game. That was a Sunday night football game this year, and they played the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football last year, and they won. But again, they didn't look good doing it. You don't get any style points for that game.
Okay.
So in McDaniel's tenure, I believe they've had 2 Sunday Night Football games and they're 2-0. But again, against better teams, they probably would have lost those games. And no offense to the Patriots, Chris, but the Dolphins didn't play like a team. The Dolphins didn't play well in that game. Maybe that was partially the Patriots playing them tough and everything, but Dolphins didn't play well in that game. And the Steelers game last year, the Dolphins did everything they could do to lose that game. The Steelers just wouldn't win it. So they need to play better. They need to be better against the Eagles. Both their Sunday night games have been away as well, which kind of sucks for them. And
I'll tell you this much, Keith, though. Best wishes to you on making it out of the stadium alive because it's going to be
all right.
It's going to be tough. I mean, listen, if we don't see you if we don't hear from you on Monday, we're just going to assume something bad happened to you. And
well, Brett, I'm a Phillies fan as well, so maybe I'll just wear Phillies stuff.
You might. I have a feeling you're going to do something like that because
no, I won't do that. I'm going to wear Dolphins stuff. Come on.
I'm just telling you, I want to have some video that we're going to not air on screen, but I want to get the videos of what people are going to be saying to you. And probably you're going to see a lot of middle fingers and stuff like that. You're going to have things thrown at you. I imagine all the crap that you hear.
I went to the Dolphins-Eagles game 8 years ago, and nobody threw anything at me. And everybody was – now, that was an Eagles team that was starting Sam Bradford at quarterback, and Mark Sanchez was the backup. So it's not like they were a contending team. But you know, 8 years ago, everybody was pretty polite to me, actually. The Dolphins won that game 20-19 as well, so everybody was, but that was a much different circumstance. That Eagles team wasn't going anywhere.
We just don't want you to end up on one of those Dove Kleeman fans fighting like get circulated every Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, listen, no fights, Keith, because I'm gonna emphasize this, especially after what happened in the Patriots game, where there's a fan incident that happened, and unfortunately, a fan ended up passing away because of the incident. Keep your wits about you, man. Just be careful. I want to make sure that you get back safely. That's the most important thing.
I will.
I'm emphasizing that, man.
No fights. I need to keep my money maker intact here.
Just like Kevin James said it. I have enough about 5 minutes left of fighting in my lifetime, and I'm gonna save it for when somebody cuts in front of me at like KFC or something like that. That's pretty much where I'm gonna do it. But just be careful, man. All respect to you. Glad you're going to the game and everything, but make sure you have lots of pictures and everything, and we'll put it on the channel as far as AFC EAST Summit. We'll put it on there as well. And if you want to take over, you're more than welcome to during the game. You can take over the AFC EAST Summit Instagram channel if you want to do that. It's always an option.
We can talk about that. I plan on having a few adult beverages, so that might not be the best idea.
It's all good. Hey.
That's how we get the real. That's the real right there. That's what we want to see. Right?
Make sure you talk it up too, man. You got to talk it up as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Keith. Definitely appreciate that, and best of luck. I hope you have a great time at I've seen a couple of videos on Instagram with those fans heckling. I think it was the Viking fans who went to see the. They heckled some Viking fans walking into the stadium. So they are going to be a tough crowd, but like I said, they're not maniacs where they're just going to come and attack you. So best of luck to you, and I hope you enjoy the game. Okay.
Absolutely.
As for the matchups that we got the Patriots playing against the Bills, I don't really see this too much. Like I said, Jets are on bye week, so Anthony, you can just chill and enjoy football without worrying about your team. And so, Brett, how we see this Jets and Bills game go? I mean, the Patriots and Bills game going. How we see that score?
Well, first of all, I want to say to Anthony, we might as well kick you out of the chat right now and get you out of here early, because you have nothing to say right now. It's just you sit on the couch.
Right, Anthony, he has plenty to say.
Yeah, I could always find something.
Oh no, listen, I know you can find something to say. Don't get me wrong, I know that, but you can kick your feet up, relax for a week. You can be Aaron Rodgers and rest that foot and everything. Voice, everything. Just rest your voice. It's good. You don't have anything to say. Might as well kick you out now. It's all good. But no, listen, I got to say this, though. This is going to be a great matchup between a team that has something to prove right now, and for the Buffalo Bills, and they really need to step up, and then the New England Patriots, who could put the Bills on upset alert. I'm going to say that right now. Every single time that the Bills play Bill Belichick, they fight hard all the way until the end for New England, and this is not going to be an easy game for Buffalo. The one thing that Bill Belichick does best is take away your number one threat, and that's going to be taking away Stephon Diggs, and they're going to do a great job of that. And it comes down to what can the Bills do on offense with their other weapons, and that's why I brought up who can you count on next for the Buffalo Bills, and that's why I brought up that segment on Gabe Davis and talking about that. Next man up mentality is going to happen in this game, because you know what they're going to do. They're going to take away Stephon Diggs, and then they're going to try and take away the middle of the field. So Buffalo's going to have to rely on Gabe Davis. They're going to have to rely on Dawson Drops, that people are calling him. I'm not going to call him that, but, I said it on
just
here.
Did, Brett.
On here just to be funny, but, it's going to come down to who is going to be the next man up for the Buffalo Bills. And, I'll preview this, man, for Chris. I know he wants to get into it, but the run game for New England is going to be a tough one. And you look at what Buffalo does against the run, they're giving up 5.7 yards per carry, which is very high in the NFL. You got Ramondre Stevenson, you have Ezekiel Elliott, and both of them are going to have big days against Buffalo. And Buffalo is going to have to do a good job of stopping the run, and that's what scares me in this game is you got two bruising running backs that can take control of the game. and I'm hoping that Buffalo can find a way to make this game all about Josh Allen and Mac Jones, and make Mac Jones have to force his way into throwing situations, which is the strength of the Buffalo Bills defense. So can't wait for this one, though. It's going to be a fun matchup, and I'm looking forward to getting a couple of interceptions on Mac Jones.
Absolutely. And what do you see the score ending up as ultimately, Brett?
I am not at liberty to predict scores anymore. I've been told by Mike Fortin that I can no longer predict score predictions because I am so far off. I picked 48-3 on the Giants-Bills game. I'm just going to predict the Bills win.
Yeah, that is 48-3. My God. Okay. Yeah, I see why Mike would say that. For sure. I don't, like I said, I'm kind of done at this point being optimistic. I mean, I guess every weekend, any given Sunday is a real phrase. So any week a team can pull out an upset like we did see with the Jets and the Eagles. But I just, with our banged up secondary, I think it's about the time where some of our cornerbacks should be coming back. But I haven't checked the injury report to monitor that. But just with our offensive showing, the lack of receiving, just Mac Jones' decision making, he was getting the ball out quick early in the season, making some accurate passes under pressure, but I don't know where that's gone. I haven't seen it as of late. Now it's just decisions and bad plays after bad plays, turnovers after turnovers, no running lanes to go with. So ultimately, I need to see something before I have any hope. I am hoping that Malik Cunningham gets a chance to step up and show himself because he's a little bit more versatile, and he did show a little prowess in preseason, but that was preseason. And so, but I don't know, at this point, that's the only thing I can hope in, a rookie come and save the day and just show, we had a diamond in the rough in the draft, so as for that score, I'm predicting a 10-27 Buffalo win. And I guess we'll just see, kind of see how the game goes. Hopefully, I am pleasantly surprised and I am wrong. But outside of that, we shall see how that goes.
So let me ask you this, Chris. Do you think that there is a possibility that Malik Cunningham starts for the New England Patriots this week?
I don't think that I don't think that they'll ever announce that. But it looks like at the reports, they're saying Mac Jones going to start. So I don't think Malik Cunningham is going to start just yet. I think they're going to give Mac Jones a shorter leash and see how he does moving forward. I think Mac Jones has maybe about 2 or 3 bad games in him before they start looking at quarterback options. So maybe week 9, week 10, or we'll see Malik.
The Patriots bye, Chris?
I have no idea. Let me take a look at that right now. I think it might be toward week 9 actually.
So the reason why I'm asking you that is because at some point the Patriots have to look at the future and what they have at the quarterback position, and obviously they can tell that Mac Jones may not be the answer. So maybe you have to look at, okay, Malik Cunningham, what can he do out there? Give him a chance to go out there on the field, show what he can do for a couple of games, and then maybe you bench Mac Jones for 2-3 games and just get his mind right. And sometimes it's always a good thing to get benched because listen, you get comfortable at the position. And I'll tell you right now, I've been in positions where it wasn't in football and there's other games or other sports that I played, and I got comfortable at my position. And I'll put it out there right now. I play tennis. I've been a tennis player all my life. I was on my high school tennis team as the number 5 player on the team. And we had 6 spots that played in singles. And I was number 5, came off of an injury where I sprained my ankle off the field. Or off the court. And I was playing basketball, just doing something stupid. So I sprained my ankle, and then the next day that I could possibly come back onto the court, my coach called me up and said, listen, you're playing a match, and you're going to play against this person. And if they beat you, they move from your spot on the roster, and you switch spots with that person. That person was last on the team. They're still on the team. Don't get me wrong. Listen, We had a good team. I lost so badly because I was so unprepared and unfocused that it really humbled me at that moment. And my coach said the reason why she did that was because she wanted to teach me a lesson that never be comfortable in the position that you're at. And you always have to look over your shoulder. I got so comfortable with where I was that I didn't think about who was over my shoulder. And I got to the point where I had to realize that there's somebody that's coming for your position every single time, and you have to push yourself. And that's all Brett, metaphor.
Brett, I don't know that Mac Jones is necessarily comfortable in the position that he's in right now. I don't know that you do get comfortable when you're playing for Coach Bill Belichick. Yeah. I think what it boils down to for Mac Jones is he's lost. He's lost behind a 100%. Terrible offensive line with
100%.
With skill position players in Mike Gesicki, Devontae Parker, Juju Smith-Schuster. They are big bodies, but they don't know how to get open on a consistent basis. They aren't very good at doing that. So Mac Jones is just lost right now. And I just don't know that I don't know that Malik Cunningham would fare any better with this offense. If I'm being honest.
I agree. But you got to find something to spark your offense because when it comes down to, okay, my quarterback's not out here right now, and Bill Belichick's calling heads and he's getting rid of the starting quarterback, that sends a message to the entire offense that, hey, we need to step up as a unit. And I agree with you, Keith. The offensive line is playing like dog poop. I'm going to put it that way. That's the right saying that I could say for them. And this offense is not getting open. That's pretty much what it comes down to. The separation by the receivers in this offense is not good. And I think last year I could tell this offense was not going to be good, especially when it came down to the Bills game and they had a cornerback catch a touchdown pass in that game. And it was Jones. I can't think of the Jones that it was, but he played for Houston in college. I can picture him, but it's number 25 on the team. Chris, you would know who it is. But I picture that guy going out there and playing on offense and showing his speed. That tells you that Bill Belichick's offense does not have enough good wide receivers out there on the field, and they needed to do something to address it. And I don't think Bill Belichick did, and he needs to step up and say, listen, my plan didn't work, and we need to go out and get somebody out there in the trade market. And there's guys that can come in there and be leaders. You had a perfect opportunity to get Julio Jones, who's at the end of his career, but could step up and really become a leader for their offense. And while he's not the same Julio Jones whatsoever, he can get some separation. I think that he would have gotten separation out there. You got Jerry Jeudy that's on the trade market. There's a couple of other guys in Cortland Sutton and even some other guys that you're going to have to look at, maybe with the Vikings that they want to rebuild or Arizona that wants to rebuild. You're going to have to look at where can I find the next weapon for the New England Patriots, and they're going to have to make a move.
I just think at this point in the year, the Patriots are at a point where they have to just consider what they're going to do in terms of just like, are we still playing football, or are we just blowing it up and finding out what young players we have? Because at the end of the day, like, Mac Jones is going to be entering like his fourth year. They have to make a decision on his fifth-year option.
Yep.
Do you feel good about taking your option? Obviously not. Yeah. Like, does that mean that you have to make a decision now? Like, you have an opportunity. Possibly there might be some teams that are in contention right now that might be looking for a backup quarterback or looking for a quarterback right now. Malik Cunningham may or may not be it. I would bank on him probably not being it. But at the end of the day, like, you have to make a decision for the franchise's future. And, like, there's no quarterback that's going to be good under this offensive line right now. There's no weapons, and none are walking through the doors. You can't build weapons or an offensive line through free agency. Yeah. There's just none available ever. So
Lyle Collins is available.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Yeah.
You're not.
Lewan's available. There's a reason for that as well.
Available.
Julio Jones was available for a reason. Like, these guys they've been, we know what they are at this point. So, like, all in all, they need to make a decision before the trade deadline whether or not they think it's worth gutting out a couple more ones, because there are franchise quarterbacks available in this draft. And even if you don't want to take a quarterback this year, you want to trade back, do what the Bears did, stock up on offensive linemen, wide receivers, try to build a team, and then put a quarterback in it. You can maybe do that, but like, I don't know, man. Like, there's no way out of this season for Mac Jones. And I don't know how you can, as the Patriots, feel comfortable about picking up his fifth-year option, which is completely guaranteed, and you have to take it after his third year.
Yeah, I don't think Mac Jones has shown me anything personally as a Patriots fan. I don't think he's shown me anything to say this guy is our future. Never, not even like a flash or even like
No.
just a great season. Like at least with a player like, let's say, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has his ups and downs, but I definitely take Dak Prescott over a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL just because of the skills that he does show. But Mac Jones has never showed me anything whatsoever. So I think it's kind of the Mac Jones experiment, like I say, is done at this time. It's kind of like, all right, who's ready, who's hungry, who wants to make a play, who wants to make a name for himself, and you just go next man up, and let these guys show what they show themselves, show improve. So
Chris, I have an idea. Okay, real quick. I don't want to get into the 2024 offseason or anything, but a way that the Patriots can fix this offense is by going after Kirk Cousins. I'm going to tell you right now.
No.
It sounds crazy. Don't get me wrong. Listen, it sounds crazy, okay? I'm not saying to trade for him right now. I'm saying after the season, when he becomes a free agent, you go after Kirk Cousins for a couple of years. You get him as a bridge quarterback to be the guy that's going to start. Then you have somebody that you're going to groom behind Kirk Cousins for 2-3 years, whatever the case may be. But you have to have a guy in Kirk Cousins that comes in there, really becomes the player that can put up a lot of points for this team and can throw the ball quite a bit. Because you don't have to make Kirk Cousins throw the ball for 5,000 yards in this game. You just need a guy that can come in and manage the game. And Kirk Cousins does a great job of managing games. He does a great job of also, when the game's on the line, putting his team on his back and going down the field and winning the games that are one possession games. I'm going to say it right now. That's what you really need in a quarterback. It sounds crazy, don't get me wrong, but you can have somebody that you draft in the first round that doesn't have to be the guy right now. You can have somebody come in and be the Patriots way guy in Kirk Cousins for a couple of years. Then you can groom the next guy up. But I think Mac Jones didn't have time to learn behind a quarterback and really learn this offense. He was kind of thrown into the situation, and that's a recipe for disaster. That's how you ruin quarterbacks' careers. And I'm going to say it right now. Okay, there's times that the Jets did it. There's times that the Dolphins did it. I'll bring up a great point of a guy that the Bills did it too, EJ Manuel. They threw him in there when they were supposed to have Kevin Cobb, and he didn't turn out great. They threw him in there when they had Matt Castle. Didn't turn out good. And then you ruin their careers, and you ruin their confidence as well. And Mac Jones lacks confidence right now. He lacks trust in his offensive line, and he lacks trust in his wide receivers. And that's all on Bill Belichick and the offense right now. And
if you're Kirk Cousins, are you signing with the Patriots?
I wouldn't.
How much more would they have to pay you over the next team for you to even consider signing with a team that's this bad?
They don't have enough. They don't have enough money for me to sign with them.
Exactly.
He'd get murdered behind that line.
It's a horrendous place for him to end his career.
Yeah, at the end of your career, you're not really just trying to take sacks and get playing on your butt all game long. So, I mean, it's a good idea. It's the idea of I feel like the concept of a bridge quarterback has kind of gone away from the football that we see today. So I get what you're saying, and just like the Jets bringing in Aaron Jones to kind of be like a bridge quarterback for Aaron Rodgers to be a bridge quarterback for Zach Wilson. You kind of see that they kind of brought it back a little bit. They want to win the chip. At the same time, he's also going to learn from a veteran quarterback, because they said that they had to sit him down. So I do see that a little bit. But I don't know, just the whole concept itself is kind of gone away from the game of football. So I don't know how I don't know if they're bringing it back. I don't know how much that would work, but I mean, if I was in the front office, I definitely would do that. But
I
we
would
shall
do
see.
I think the
We'll see
Patriots
how-
need to get younger. The Patriots
Yeah.
need to get younger
Yeah.
all across the board. They need to
Yeah.
revamp their offensive line. First
They need
and
to find
foremost,
some wide receivers.
yeah, need to find some wide receivers. I wouldn't mind seeing them start Malik Cunningham the rest of the season, maybe going into the next season. Why not? Give the kid a chance. But I've always been of the Bill Parcells mentality, where you build from the outside in, you build from your lines, and then you build on out.
Mhm.
And the Patriots, I guess, have tried to build up their line a little bit, but they failed. Their offensive line is not a very good unit. It's injured, but it's just not a good unit overall. And Mac Jones, I don't know that he would be a good quarterback. I don't know that he'd be a good quarterback with a better offensive line, but he'd be better than he is right now. Maybe he'd be average, which is as good as you can hope for. I don't know. But my thought is the Mac Jones era is done.
Yeah.
And Kirk Cousins is essentially an older version of Mac Jones at this point. Maybe he's a little bit better, but Kirk Cousins is going to play you out of a top draft pick, which is what the Patriots need to be collecting right now.
That's the
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
And listen, the reason why I mentioned getting Kirk Cousins, I'm not saying trade for him right now at the trade deadline. I'm saying after the season, his contract's up, you sign him to a 2-year contract. You know, you might pick somebody early on with a draft pick as a quarterback. He can learn behind Kirk Cousins for 2 years. You draft offensive linemen, which is what I'm saying in the comment that I mentioned on here. And then you sign a couple of wide receivers to really revamp this offense. But you have to go after offensive linemen on cheap deals. Maybe get a couple of guys that are towards I wouldn't say the tail end of their career, but having a year that they weren't so good. Maybe you get a couple guys that can step up and be the Patriots way type of guys. And then you sign a couple wide receivers, draft a wide receiver, but you work on getting this offensive line back in the draft. And comes down
Brett, if I'm Kirk Cousins, there is one city I want to go to after this season. There's
Miami.
one city I'm zeroing in on. It's Atlanta.
Miami.
No, it's Atlanta. I want to go to
Atlanta's correct. Atlanta's the correct
Oh
answer.
yeah, that's
If
perfect.
I'm Kirk Cousins, that's where I'm zeroing in on. I'm telling my agent, call up Arthur Blank and the Falcons and tell them that's where I want to go. They have the offensive line, they have the weapons, their defense is playing well. That's a team that feels like a quarterback away from being a real player in the NFC.
Yep.
Whereas if I'm going to the Patriots, I'm going to the Patriots to get beat down and lose for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Stay on the bench, get hurt a couple games in, and ride the contract for the rest of football until you retire, right? So I mean, it's a great idea, but we'll see, because it's still very early in the season. It may not just be time you have to hit the panic button, but it's getting close to it. So with that, we'll go ahead and move into our final thoughts and wrap up this show. Guys, do we have any final thoughts that we want to? I know Anthony. I know the Jets aren't playing this week. Do you have any final thoughts you want to share?
I'm just thrilled that they have no chance to lose this week.
Very good point.
Not just that, but I mean, look at the schedule coming up. I'm so thrilled that we have the Giants, technically an away game. That is not going to be an away game. There's going to be more Jets fans in that stadium than there are Giants fans, I guarantee you.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have at home, so we stay home. We have the Chargers. We just watched them get beat in a close game. We know they can lose a close one, as good as anyone. And then we get the Raiders.
Okay, so easy schedule, positive.
We might 3-0. We might be 6-3 before we know it.
Yep, very positive moving forward. Keith, any final thoughts you want to add?
I'm hoping for the best and preparing for the worst this week, Chris. I promise you boys I'll stay alive in Philadelphia this weekend. But as far as the Dolphins game, I'm not optimistic right now. But we'll see what happens.
Okay. Very good. And I do hope you enjoy that game. There's nothing better than being in an actual arena and watching the game live, Looks like we might have lost Brett, or maybe his camera. Brett, you still with us? Yeah, it looks like we did lose him. Okay, and as for me, just kind of hoping that everything goes well with the Patriots, hoping that they show a little bit of life to this week, and honestly, just hopefully for at least another close game, not a 30-point blowout at this point. So,
Chris,
kind
is
of
there any recipe that the Patriots have for beating the Bills this week?
any recipe? I guess if anything, if I could take into account what Brett said earlier, that the Bills are giving up the most yards this season on the ground, averaging for about five yards on the ground for opposing running backs, I would say that they can go ahead and just try and get that running game going. I think if you can get the running game going, you have two great running backs in Ramondre Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott on a downturn in his career, but he still has the potential to make big plays. But if we can get that, if the air attack's not working, just smash mouth football. So I think that might be a recipe moving forward because we can't trust Mac Jones to throw the ball.
Do you think you can get enough pressure on Josh Allen? Because we know what happens when he gets a little bit too much pressure.
I think with Matthew Judon being hurt, the bulk of our pressure is going to be gone. But we can see if a guy like Josh Uche steps up, or do any of the guys, Keon White, any of the guys that we have on that offensive line or that linebackers. So I think Bill Belichick knows better than anyone, that you got to pressure these quarterbacks, and he'll definitely draw up a couple plays. Even you see like early week, he had Christian Gonzalez come off a corner blitz. Unfortunately, he's out for the season. But just draw up these plays to get these pressures on these quarterbacks. So we shall see. But I mean, if we don't, then we know we're gonna get picked apart for sure.
Yeah.
And Brett, glad you back with us, sir. Any final closing thoughts for you?
Sorry about that, guys. My computer died. I thought I had it plugged in, and unfortunately, it was not plugged in. So that's what happens when you have technical difficulties. We'll address that after the show. Make sure that we get that corrected so that never happens again. But closing thoughts for me, I got to say thank you so much to Anthony for being on here. Dolphin Keith, really hope you enjoy the Philadelphia beatdown that you're going to go and watch. It's going to be a fun game to watch for you. And then Chris, I mean, best wishes to you on next year. We're going to send you guys packing and maybe get Bill Belichick into a retirement home, which is going to be a great area for him to be in. I know there's pretty good retirement homes in Boston, isn't there?
I don't know.
He's going to retire where everybody in the Northeast is, Florida.
Yeah, I'm in Florida. Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying that's where Bill Belichick is. And, he might have to come down to Florida and teach Mike McDaniels how to call defense.
So, you might have Robert Kraft show him to some of these massage parlors out here, huh?
Yeah.
And with that, can we just
that could very well be.
Yeah.
But no, I want to say thank you guys so much. Really do appreciate all the hard work that these guys do. If you're new to this channel, I gotta say, like and subscribe to each one of these guys. They do a phenomenal job. Really appreciate all the hard work that they do. So check them out. But I won't get into it too much because I know Chris is the host, and I want to make sure that he does a great job. And man, Chris, you did a phenomenal job of hosting. So appreciate you, brother. And all joking aside, want to say, I hope each and every one of you guys gets a loss this week so that the Bills move up in the rankings.
Thank you for those thoughts, Brett. We appreciate that. And Jim, hey man, listen, we appreciate the confidence. We appreciate the fans because honestly, at the end of the day, there's not too many of them left. So we don't have too much to cheer for. So, definitely help us. Help us. We need the confidence. And guys, definitely like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy the video. We do the show every Tuesday starting at 8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock Eastern time. And, we just like to have fun, like to get together and talk football. Just four guys who enjoy it. We also have part of the Nickel City Mafia channel, which also has some other great shows. I know they have the Buffalo Sabres show coming on. So if you're a hockey fan, definitely tune into that show. And Brett, what time does that show run?
That is at 8:30 tomorrow night that they're going to do the show, as far as I'm aware. If I am wrong, please forgive me. I'm trying to remember all the shows that are on this channel because, you got Mike and Jake that are running the show.
They have the show on Wednesday and then Sunday for their tailgate shows that they do. Not only myself, I'm doing a show by myself this week, and then I also have another show with Sean Kula of the Red, White, and Bills. So 2 shows this week that are going on. Saturday we do our show at 8:30. Gosh, I mean, they have the fantasy show. There's so much going on Nickel City Mafia, but I mean, they're growing like you would not believe, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger once Chris and Anthony and Keith, they grow their channels. The channels are only going to get bigger. So I just pray that you guys can get on YouTube and get your thing going. I want to see you guys make an impact in the sports world as well, because you guys have phenomenal takes as well. And even though I'm kidding and everything, you guys are really great ambassadors for your teams, and a lot of respect for you guys as well.
Yes, indeed. And Jim says the show that a show. Yes, I remember this is a show, so the more ball busting, the better. So we're trying to get that a little bit. We had that a little early in the season. I definitely was more of the ball buster of the group, but looking at my record right now, 1-5, there's not too much jokes coming from my direction. So, but we'll see if we could get back to it if we flip the season around. But for sure, guys, definitely tune in. Check out Nickel City Mafia on YouTube. You can find our channels there. You can find our schedules there as well. Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell all your friends to come and support. The more comments, the better. The more participation, the better, because we love to hear from you guys as well, and we love when people are watching us. So, guys, from Patriots fan Chris, you all have a wonderful night. Thank you for tuning in, and Pats Nation,
fins up,
jet up.
We'll see you guys next week.
All right, have a good one, guys.